We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world.
Good afternoon everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch. My name is Robin and I'm outside in the garden this afternoon. It's the start of the week, it's a Monday and I'm having a little bit of a break from the computer, and I wanted to spend some time outside this afternoon in the garden, just having a little bit of a relax and just some me time, I suppose, and just go through some of the plants and pick some food from the garden. So I think harvesting vlogs are kind of my favorite videos to watch here on YouTube, so I thought I would do one myself. I don't have a lot to pick in the garden this afternoon, but there are quite a few tomatoes on some of the different plants that I definitely want to pick and bring upstairs so that I can have a little bit of stock inside in the fridge. So I'm seeing it every day and I actually use it. I have definitely been guilty and had a lot of food growing and not actually made the most of it and used it. And something that I'm really trying to make a bit more of an effort is to come down with a basket or a bowl and go through things that are definitely ready to be picked, so that I can have them upstairs in the house. So I've got my basket here and some secateurs as well. Make sure to give this video a like as well, and definitely subscribe if you are new here for all things gardening and how to connect to nature as well and bring nature's principles into the garden. All right, let's go see what we can pick from the garden. Okay, so I think the first thing that I'm going to be picking from the garden is these green chilies here. Scott and I have been talking about making a chili oil for the past couple of weeks, and we always say we need to come down and grab the chilies so that when we're upstairs and we have the olive oil around, we can just make it and not fuss around. So I'm going to be picking all of these so I can have them upstairs for when we're in the mood to make our chili oil. These chilies here, I actually have no idea what kind they are. They're a really long straight chili and they are really hot. So we're not overly big spice / heat people with our food, but I do like to add a little bit of heat into some of my dishes. So I'm thinking chili oil is going to be a good way to do that, to actually kind of use the flavor of this without just wasting a lot of the chilies. Something else I could do with these is dehydrate them. We don't have a dehydrator though, so I'd have to use the oven, which kind of uses up probably a little bit more power than I'd like to for dehydrating. So I think chili oil is our best bet for these chilies. I also have this really big capsicum here that I want to pick just because it's hanging down and touching the ground and really weighing down the plant. So I'm going to cut this one here. This will probably turn to a red capsicum. It's a Californian wonder. I actually really like eating capsicums when they're green. I prefer the flavor some of the time. So this will definitely make a nice little snack throughout the week. Kind of in the little jungle of tomato plants at the moment, but there's quite a few tomatoes on the plants that are ready to be harvested, and I'm going to be making a pumpkin soup for dinner this week, and I really like to add in roast tomatoes, so it's good to just have them upstairs in the fridge or just on the kitchen bench somewhere, so that if we come home later at night I don't have to come out in the dark and the cold and in my dressing gown and come down here to pick the tomatoes. They are going to just be upstairs readily waiting for me. Something I always like to have in the kitchen or around my workspace is just something pretty from the garden as well. There are so many benefits to growing other things other than fruit and veggies. I absolutely love to grow flowers in the garden, not just for pollinators, but also just kind of my mental health. And I think growing flowers can definitely be a little bit underrated. A lot of people kind of think, well, you can't really eat flowers, so don't really grow them, but I absolutely love to grow flowers in the garden. Firstly, because the benefits it provides to pollinators and birds and insects, but also they just provide me with such joy and that's such a big part of why I like to garden. So I think always just checking in with yourself every now and again to remember the reason why you started growing, whether that be because it takes you back to a memory in your childhood or a happy place, or reminds you of loved ones, or the colours or the food just make you really happy. There are so many different reasons to garden, and implementing flowers into the garden patch is definitely something I like to do for my sanity, and I love beautiful things around me. Speaking of which, it's a little hard to see with this camera angle, but I'll bring one up for you. I'm picking a few of these Lagos flowers. This is an edible spinach, but it just has the most stunning floral display. It's more of an annual plant, and I haven't really gotten a lot out of the leaves because I planted it a little bit too late, but I am getting a lot of enjoyment from the flowers. I'm not going to be taking all of them, probably just this little bunch that I can put in a small vase, because I always like to keep some for the insects and the pollinators around. And that's a really, really important principle that I like to incorporate in the garden, as nature does, is not to take too much or more than you need, and always make sure that you are replenishing what you do take. So this is going to turn into compost, and the compost that is next to it is definitely going to replenish all of these kind of physical nutrients and minerals and things that I'm taking out of the plant back into the soil, while making me very happy while I do my work. So I'm almost finished picking what I need for the week. I ended up going to the garden behind me as well and got some more tomatoes and some parsley, because we're going to be doing bolognese tonight, and I always put fresh parsley in basically any Italian dish that we do. The last thing that I'm going to be picking is just some kumquats from the kumquat tree, and that's what we're also going to be planting in the ground as well. Almost forgot the pumpkin that I also picked as well. This is going to turn into a gorgeous pumpkin soup. I'm very excited for this. So you'll notice just when I'm picking these that I'm taking some of the foliage with it, and that's because we're going to plant this tree in the ground. And usually when you're repotting a plant or planting it in the ground, it does kind of deal with a little bit of stress. So I'm going to be taking the fruit off, and some of them aren't completely ripe, but I want to take most of the fruit off so this tree could just focus on putting all of its energy into the roots and growing nice and healthy, rather than into producing more fruit, because I want it to grow even bigger. It's definitely needing an upgrade from the pot that it's in now.
As a young girl, it feels were mine.
Alright, so this is the basket of things that I've picked from the garden today. Got some cherry tomatoes in here, Thai pink egg tomatoes, capsicum, some Lagos spinach flowers, parsley, some random really hot green chilies, and a whole bunch of little kumquats. Let me know if you have any recipes that you like to use kumquats in. I know I might try making some jam or some syrup, but I would love to know if you have any recommendations on what to do with them. We're going to get these trees in the ground now, and I will turn you around and give you a little bit of a tour of what we have planted in this little area as well.
So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world. I was one rich little girl, daydreamer, kidnap me, take me back, all the way back to them days, running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.